Hey y'all, welcome back to the PT Powerhouse. I'm Dr. Corey again.
And I'm Dr. Becky.
Yes, and we're here to continue talking about all things PT, business, yada yada. Y'all know the drill. If you're still here. Yeah.
Yes.
Teams.
Y'all know the drill.
So today we're going to talk about the growth of GeneSIS, which is probably...
It's a hot topic.
It's a super hot topic. It's funny because I'll be out like marketing and people will be like, yeah, pelvis is whatever. And they're like, so 6 locations, did you say? Like, how many therapists do you have? And I'm like, yeah. But like patients. And they're like, business. And I'm like, well, you should buy Becky's coaching, honestly. And let me give you these brochures. So I know if I'm getting asked that many questions, you're getting asked a million more.
Well, I think... Yes, I'm getting asked a million times in my coaching calls and Instagram messages, like, you know, just, again, similar to you, whenever I'm telling people about my business and just like, this is what it is. They're like, you know, they have to pick a jaw off the floor. I'm like, I mean, same.
Yeah.
But I find it very interesting because there's some camps of business owners or people or whatever that say, don't do multiple locations.
Yeah.
And like, just like grow your one. And so... It's just, I get asked that because they're like, well, you have 6. And I hear, like, don't do that. And I'm, you know, like, so I get asked about it a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Okay. I love it.
So.
I guess, did you have a question?
Well, I was just going to say, like, what sets us apart, do you think? So you said, like, some people feel this way, some people feel that way. Obviously, you're pro expand.
Very pro, yes.
So, like, why?
Well, if we think back to when we first did it, it was when you joined, and I was a little bit forced into it at that time. We talked a lot about why I hired in the first place. I was at capacity. It was either like hire or start sending people away, right? So like that happened. So I decided to hire. The current place I was in didn't have another room at the time to lease out. So I was like, okay, so I like chose to hire. Where am I going to put her? You know? And so I was a little bit forced into it at the beginning. And another thing that people will say is like, if you have a second business or a second clinic location, don't put it in the same city. That's what I did.
We were like 20 minutes apart.
I put you in the same city, right down the street almost, you know? But the thing that had happened was it all in that same like time period. I had seen Christine Taywater, who's the midwife that we used to rent a room from back in Corey's early days. Love you, Christine, if you're like listening. We'll have to send this one to her.
Yeah, we love Christine. We still talk about you all the time.
All the time, Christine. You came up earlier today.
Yeah,
literally. Okay.
Anyway.
Let me stay on track.
Yeah.
Okay, so she had posted in one of the like DFW birth professionals, hey, I have a room. I would love it to be for like pelvic floor physical therapy. If there's anyone out there, like, I don't know, because this was back whenever there weren't like 500 clinics in DFW opening.
Yeah.
And I happened to see it, and I was like, oh, like low-key, me, you know?
Yeah.
And so it worked out, you know, the rate was really good. She was like, you can literally have it full time. Like, we're super chill here. It's not a birth center, but she did like her
like
prenatal. Yes. Like her, the midwife, did the prenatal appointments. There was a chiropractor, family chiropractor, massage therapy for like women. So she like, her specialty was literally like the female body.
Prenatal, postpartum.
Yes. And then there was the photographers that were like baby photography. So it was like a cool co-op, and I was like, love.
Everyone was so nice.
Yeah. So I just feel like in that early day, I was kind of like almost forced into it, or else I couldn't hire.
Yeah.
So I did that, and it literally blew it up. So I was like, oh, so this works. Cool. And then you put it in my ear to do Fort Worth, because you know the Fort Worth side of things, and like you were like, I would like low-key be able to do that one day. And so I kind of always had that in my ear. But I think one of the things that made me be like, oh, like we actually can and should do this essentially was we kept getting more full. So we were like, okay, how are we going to work this?
Well, and people were driving to see us in Dallas from Fort Worth all the time, which was a big part of too why I was like, if you want to just go out that way. I was getting married and moving to Fort Worth.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
I don't know if you were getting there, but I was
it's
like, let's go.
Let's go to Fort Worth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then very just funny looking back.
Mhm.
So one of the groups that we work super closely with, that we
Mhm.
refer patients back and forth to, I was on a call with one of their, I don't remember what his position was or whatever, but one of their higher ups in the
Mhm.
business, and he just flat out was like, we need a GeneSIS in Fort Worth because we have nowhere to send our patients over there, because everywhere we
Mhm.
send them over there, our patients don't get better.
Mhm.
And so he low-key offered to invest, like throw money at me to go put me in Fort Worth.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, if this guy's saying that, and if Corey's already moving there, let's just like do it.
Yeah.
So I said, thanks, but no thanks to your money. We'll do it ourselves.
Yeah. Because you could.
Yeah.
You had all this success in Dallas already.
Yeah. So long story short, I think I didn't start out thinking I was going to expand to multiple locations. It was just like forced upon me because I chose to hire and I didn't have a space in my current place.
Yeah.
And then it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just kept going.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, and from my perspective, like, when I was like, let's go to Fort Worth, I thought it was going to be like just me.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, let's go look at buildings, like suites. And I was like, okie dokie. Like, I was about it, but that's not what I was like
thinking.
That's not what I was thinking off the bat. And we even had someone that I reached out to about just like renting a room. And like nothing bad happened, but it just like wasn't working out. Like we couldn't kind of sort through the details. I don't think I ever even saw it. Like we just couldn't connect.
Yeah.
And so that kind of just like didn't work out, which I think was like a good thing in the long run. And so we found this beautiful location with enough room for 4 therapists, 4 private treatment rooms, a gym, like all of it.
And it was in COVID. So they were like, their tenant had left because they couldn't, I mean, it sucks, but like their business was failing because it was a co-working space.
Yes, it was.
And everyone was working from home now. Yeah. So anyway, they got out of their lease, and now the building was like, well, we need to fill this spot.
Please
come. So, yes. So they were like, please, GeneSIS, come. Here's $50,000 that we will front to do all these improvements. Mm-hmm. So they literally moved walls. They changed doors.
They added a treatment room.
Did some light fixture thing. Like they literally did all these things. Moved that back room. Remember how they had to clear out those wires from that back room? Just so many things.
I forgot those were there. Yeah.
Big old black wire box.
I forgot that was there. And our realtor that we used was phenomenal, and he made a big difference
Vic,
too.
If you're listening, Vic.
Still our realtor. Yeah. So all those things just kind of.
I know.
You had a lot of vision though. Like they didn't just fall into place.
Sure.
But I think you were. What I have noticed as a pattern is that every time we've grown, it's been specific to either the person or the place or the connection.
Yep.
So it's not like you just pick a city and put a person or a clinic there.
Right.
It's like there's a reason to go that direction or that specific location.
Well, and I love that you brought that up because that is so important when making any business decision is it has to like move your mission forward. Yeah. Like you can't do, I know that seems like it sounds, well, yeah, no, why would you do it? But so many people do that where they just like, oh, I'm going to like expand. I'm going to go to this random city. I need to hire someone random to put there. You know, and I guess you like could do that. Yeah. But it's way more fluid when you're like, okay, I have big vision. Here's our company big vision. Here's what we're doing to make, like, to get there. Does this thing line up with those things? Like, if I make this decision, if I hire this person, if I open this clinic in this city, does that move me closer to my vision? Does it, you know, are we still able to live out our mission when we're doing these things? So I think that's a really good point, and one that I actually didn't know at the time. Yeah,
like just kind of your gut was like, let's go there. Why not?
So I've had to like retrospectively look back and define how the heck did all that happen? Because I'll be the first to say, if anyone's talked to me in the past few years, I have said on multiple occasions it was all an accident. Like I don't know how it happened. Like it just happened. And here I am with 6 clinics and like 20 employees. I don't know. But I'm learning. I'm in coaching now. Jenna and Kimberly. Shout out. All the shout outs.
All the shout outs today.
But yeah, I'm learning that like it wasn't an accident, and I've you know gotten some tools to retrospectively look back and say, how did that actually happen? Why did these work out? Like, you know, and so dig deeper in those things. And so it is really cool to think about, like, it's because it literally matched with our vision.
Yeah. And so it was like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think it's funny because when people do ask me about this and stuff too, they're like, well, did you look at like the business and the population and the median income and like the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I felt really passionate about there being a parking lot
Yep.
and the team. And
Yes.
that was it from my end.
Yes.
I was like, there needs to be plenty of parking.
Yeah.
And that is like it. And just, I think because of how Dallas had blown up too, it was like, there's just as many people in Fort Worth that need pelvic health. Like, I always say there's plenty of pelvises to go around.
There are. There's more than enough. We need more. That's why we keep opening clinics and hiring 500 people because we need more.
And even though there's other clinics open, it's also like, we're not going into anywhere to try to like drive people out of business either. There's just plenty of people that need pelvic health and need different practitioners and different hours and different locations.
And like, different vibes. Like, some pelvic health practices are only prenatal postpartum. Some are only more like active females. Some
or CrossFit.
You can
niche.
Very niche down in the world of pelvic health. And so it's like, you can have GeneSIS here and someone else down the street, and they're both going to thrive if they're providing great patient care. You know, like, if you're not providing patient care, you're probably not going to like thrive.
Probably not thrive. You might keep your doors open, but yeah, I think it's easy to look because there were other pelvic health practices in Fort Worth, and I remember us having a conversation early on where you were kind of like, we were bouncing back and forth of like, is this good? You know, is this a good spot or whatever? And honestly, I think it came down to the parking. We were like, we like this building because there's good parking. It's beautiful. It's central.
Yes.
It's just, this is the one.
This is the one.
Yeah. It wasn't some crazy business decision.
No. And I mean, it felt a little bit, well, the way it was done came a little bit down to the wire because of the construction. And then like, we like went off to Mexico and opened the doors and then hired someone. And it was a little crazy.
It was a little stressful.
From like the brick and mortar, that's what it came down to, was like, it was in an up and coming spot. Fort Worth didn't have, like they do now, they didn't have cash-based pelvic health. And, you know, it had like the parking and it just, everything that you said.
Yeah, it was beautiful. The neighborhood was up and coming.
Yeah. The landlord seemed great. Like, they worked with us really awesome. That's a big deal, having a landlord that is on point, because a landlord will literally make or break you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I just think it's funny because people are like, what was the formula? And it was like, it was just the right thing. I don't know.
It was the right thing. And that's where it's hard to like define it, you know? And that's what I worked so hard in my course is like, how do you know when it's the right decision? We were, I mean, I was going to say we were lucky. It was more than luck, but like, you and I are more in tune to like our gut than some people. And that's fine. Like, it's not a bad thing for them, but it's just like, I think we feel more confident being like, this feels right, we're going to do it.
Yeah. I agree.
Whereas other people might want a little bit more like, but I need to know the numbers.
Okay. Like how it's going to work.
Yes. How is it going to work?
Yeah. And
so I think that's what I've tried to do is like give you a formula, but it's not a numbers formula. It's a gut formula. Yeah. It's like,
I like that.
Let's filter this through your gut. And if it checks the boxes of, yes, this gets me closer to my vision. Yes, this is aligned with my why. Yes, this allows me to live out my mission. And yes, this is the vibe. This is the values. Like, you do it.
Then it should probably turn out great.
Yeah.
It is important too, though, because like, yes, the vibe was there. The gut feelings were all there. You know, I trusted you. You trusted me. Still do. And we also had like, okay, we need X amount of therapists seeing Y amount of patients to pay our bare minimums and like profit and be able to grow.
Totally.
So it's not just like, let's just open a clinic, it's whatever. It's just like, it doesn't have to be so
zipped up.
So yeah, like, and we knew like, we were profitable in the first 6 months.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was a little disappointed we didn't profit in the first quarter because I just like wanted to.
Yeah, I know.
And I know it's very common for businesses to take over a year to profit.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that was just the Fort Worth clinic.
Yes.
Because that's the other thing.
We also had the support of Dallas.
So we had the support of the Dallas side from like GeneSIS overall, where like, you know, if you separate out the expenses, the Fort Worth clinic, it did take 6 months to get out of the red, the black, I don't know.
The red.
Yeah. Get out of the red, I don't know. And be, quote, profitable. But overall, GeneSIS
was still profitable.
It was a team.
Yeah.
Still Dallas, well, yeah. The Dallas side, like, we picked it up, you know? And so it wasn't as financially burdensome because we were still overall profiting and still making money because of what was happening over on the Dallas side. So that being said, we wouldn't ever have, I probably wouldn't ever just open a four therapist clinic right out of the gates that was going to cost us $6,500 a month for our very first place, unless we had like a business loan or something.
Yeah.
But that would be much harder. So that kind of brings us around to, so when do you do that? When do you open your 4 therapist clinic with a gym and a kitchen and space for tenants and all this stuff that's going to be significantly more money a month? Or when do you just do like this little one satellite clinic? So we can talk about that because we have both. We have the Dallas and the Fort Worth and the Midlow. The Midlow has room for 3 full-time therapists. So we have those, and then we have our, where do we have clinics? Frisco is opening soon. We have Aledo opening next month. And then we have Addison. And those are all that's our satellite clinics.
Yes. And Addison is about to add a second therapist.
True.
So that one is still like a satellite. But it's like growing.
Yeah.
It's a growing satellite.
But it will for sure be at capacity at 2 because we're having to put up walls and like literally force a second treatment room there, which is fine. But that one's going to have 2. It's going to be very full at 2 therapists. Yeah. But then the other ones, we just so Frisco and Aledo, they're new. And so we're starting them as we're just subleasing one room inside something.
Yeah, inside, well, it's like a collaborative space. So we also choose those really carefully. Yes. And I think that's part of what has helped so much because that's where you started with Adrian, and then that's where I was with Christine, and now all of our other little one-offs, they're in a space with other providers who we work alongside, who have similar services, and it makes a world of difference.
It really does. So that's where it's like a little bit safer and smarter whenever you don't have as much cash flow to go open this big thing. You know, it's like find your 1 or 2 rooms inside a collaborative space where you're going to want to refer your patients to and where they're going to want to refer to you. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a midwife. It could be a play therapist. It could be mental health. It could be nutrition, like things like that are complementary, but they don't have to only be pelvic health, like an OB-GYN or a Urogyne or something like that.
The one in Aledo is Harper House. Yes. And they're technically pediatrics, but they also do well care and sick care for mom and baby. And then chiropractic care, lactation, all of that.
Well, and getting in a space for pediatrics, I'm sorry, guess who's bringing those fresh babies to their appointments? It's the moms. Yes. So, so it's perfect. And the other thing about those little subleases is they're usually only for like a year. You know, they're pretty flexible. If you want to do 6 months, if you want to do month, if you want to do a year, some of them will let you do 2 years. They're all pretty flexible. Whereas like our big Dallas lease and our big Fort Worth lease and this like big Midlow lease, they're 5 years. They're 5 years. And a lot of them even are 7 or 10. Like I got 5-year ones, but a lot of places are wanting 10, especially if they're putting money into it for you. Like, so,
which is terrifying for a small business to think about signing a 10-year lease.
So scary.
That's
absolutely.
Yeah.
5 years even felt really scary. Luckily, by the time I was signing the Midlow 5-year, I was like, oh, okay, I've done this for Fort Worth and Dallas now. I can do 5 years. We can do 5 years. You know, it still kind of feels like, what if?
That's a long time.
But as long as, like, for those longer ones, you have room to grow in the space, that's really what matters. Because you don't want to sign a 5-year for one room. because then it's like you're
Well,
stuck.
Yeah, and then in 5 years, especially if you're wanting to grow,
Yeah.
hopefully you'd be wanting more than one room.
Yeah, totally.
So it's just, I don't know, I just feel like they all flow.
They do all flow.
But that's if I think you feel able and supported
Mm-hmm.
to not be like, I have to know exactly how everything is going to work out perfectly
Right.
before I'm willing to step out into the unknown.
Right.
And you have your backups. You know your bottom
Mhm.
line. If I
Mhm.
have one therapist here
Yep.
seeing X amount of patients, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. Yeah, because if you think about it, like at GeneSIS, and this is a very rough number, but
Mhm.
a full-time therapist brings in anywhere from like 17 to 20K a month of like revenue. If they're full, if they're
Yeah.
treating 40 hours a week and they're like their schedule's bumping, they're going to bring in
Mhm.
like that much money. Your rent is not going to be that much money. Now, I
No.
know you have to pay the therapist,
Buy the
you
stuff.
have to buy the stuff, you know, all the things. So like there are things, but for the most part, you know,
Mhm.
like we're paying at our Fort Worth, we're paying around 7K because whenever you add in all the insurance and all the in and ins, the
Yeah.
things, the contracts, it's, you know, it's 7K. It's a lot.
Mhm.
But we have a lot of therapists there and we have tenants.
Mhm.
But that's why it took longer to profit, because
Yeah.
you had to go
Just to pay the rent.
yeah,
Yeah.
you had to go build up caseloads.
Mhm.
I had to pay you and Jen, you know,
Mhm.
and like, which is all fine. That's just what you do. But it just, that's why it took longer.
Yeah, it was a lot of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is intimidating for people too. Like they're scared that you won't be able to go somewhere new and connect, which I totally get.
Yeah.
And you just can. Like, I don't know. Maybe this is a Texas thing. Maybe I'm naive and connecting with people is harder other places. But like, I would literally like just slide into people's DMs on Instagram.
Yes.
That I liked their clinic. I liked their services. I'd heard good things about them. I would call their front desk. I would just like connect with people. And then that's where we also started hosting quarterly happy hours.
Yes.
We probably need to do a whole episode on marketing, honestly. But like,
yes. We will do it. File it away.
Yeah, just like multi-pronged approaches to connecting with other professionals and attracting patients. And it just took months, but it happened.
Yeah.
And it happened quickly enough to like work out. So
100%.
I don't know.
Yes. So we talked a lot about like the physical locations of, you know, big lease versus sublease, how many, like the length of it, kind of just some ins and outs of that. On the next episode, we're going to be talking about like, who do we put there?
Yeah.
Like, how do
you decide?
Yeah. Like, do you pluck someone new out of the universe and put them there? Is it someone that is already working for you? You move them there? Do we need more admin support? All of that stuff on part 2 of the growth, because why not?
The growth, because why not? Yes. It's going to be really, really good stuff.
Yes.
So yeah. I think that's enough for now, and y'all catch us here next time for the rest of this. Thanks for spending your time with us. All the deets and info of where to find us will be in the show notes like always, and then you can always find us on all the social media. Becky's even on Threads now.
I'm on Threads now. Watch, we record this and then Threads isn't
like,
a thing.
But
I'm on there as of today.
If you're listening to this close to its launch date, she's on Threads now. So catch us everywhere. All the details are down there. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.